trial in New York. Let's assemble our political panel. Maura Gillespie is back from Blue Stack Strategies alongside Caitlin Legacki, partner at Four Corners Public Affairs. Great to have both of you with us. When we consider the Republican side of the aisle here, a day after the final debate before Iowa, a debate which Donald Trump skipped. Typically the next day the candidates would be out there leading the news, talking about what happened last night. But today it was Donald Trump, again, back in court. Is he doing everything right?
If you're Donald Trump's campaign,
yeah.
Yes. He's taking out all the oxygen. He's focused on why he's running for office in the first place. It's for himself. And this is just him getting to have the narrative and controlling the narrative, playing the victim. And it's really what he's been running on since he announced he was going to run again. And so if you're Donald Trump's campaign team, you're feeling pretty good about things right now. And that, I do think, should be scary to the rest of the GOP as they look at this as he's running for himself. He's only talking about things that impact him individually. Nothing that talks about what he would do as president other than pardon people and get himself out of jail. That's concerning across the board for a lot of reasons, but especially for a party and the Republican Party that this election is ours to lose as the GOP. And with Donald Trump, that's going to happen.
But if you listen to his language, Caitlin, on his town hall last night, it seemed like he was at least trying to dial back some things. He reiterated he only wants to be a dictator for a day, but he said after that I won't be a dictator. He also talked about how it wasn't retribution he was seeking, even though maybe campaign emails you receive may indicate otherwise. Is his tempering of the messaging working?
No. And, I mean, frankly, like what you're going to know and see out of last night's town hall is the fact that he took credit for overturning Roe versus Wade. You're going to see that clip played on loop for the next 6 months, and you're going to be sick of it. But I think that town hall last night for him was not helpful. And, to the extent that it blots out the sun for the other candidates, yes, that helps him. But as soon as we switch to a general election, his tenor, his tone is more of the same chaos we saw while he was in the White House. And it's what people have repeatedly voted against.
A couple of things were said out loud last night. Nikki Haley said Donald Trump lost the election.
Yep.
To Caitlin's point, Donald Trump said, the quote, "For 54 years, conservatives were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it." Maura, that is grist for the mill for Democrats, isn't it?
It's also interesting. It is, but it's also interesting because then he went back and started saying a kind of word salad of things about abortion. He really struggled to answer that question. And I thought that was interesting because he is maybe part of his brain was thinking, okay, for a general, I can't, be so strict, but also Iowa's on Monday. So you can see in his brain, he's like, I don't know how to say this. But it is a real problem. And Republicans, and Nikki Haley has hit on this time and time again, the abortion issue is a losing issue for Republicans when they speak about it in such strict terms. We are not, as a party, going to win elections with the 6-week ban, the any restrictions that a lot of politicians have been playing to, and especially Ron DeSantis is playing to the crowd in Iowa. So it's going to be fodder for Democrats to hit on Republicans across the 2024 down ballot.
Well, and as Caitlin says, probably expect to hear that very soundbite in campaign ads for a long time. Speaking of things that are appearing in campaign ads, Nikki Haley's suggestion that the retirement age was too low, something she had said on this network, and you may actually recognize one of the individuals in that ad, is now something that Trump's campaign is putting out. Trump seems to be going after Nikki Haley to a much larger degree. Caitlin, does that signal anything about whether or not he is feeling more vulnerable than maybe he was just a few weeks ago?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the Republican primary electorate, they tend to be older, they tend to be whiter. My parents live down in South Carolina. They have all of their old retired friends that live in their neighborhood, and they all pay attention to this issue very closely. Same with New Hampshire, where Nikki Haley, his polling indicates she's within single digits. And so it's clear that he is trying to bat her down. But the reality is also that Donald Trump has taken the exact same position on Social Security. And this might buy him a little wiggle room for a couple weeks, but he's in the exact same boat that she is.
Wow. Meanwhile, the president won't touch this one, right? Does this become a general election theme, a general election topic, or does it die out as soon as the primaries are done?
sure he'll bring it up. Again, and if it is Trump and Biden, it will
We heard it twice last night, by the way, in the debate and the town hall.
But it's not the number one concern of voters. The economy and safety and security are 1 and 2. Abortion is going to play more of a role, I believe, than Social Security will play. And so that pushes that topic down on the list of things that are really going to either drive people to the polls and to which candidate they're going to vote for. So I don't see it playing a huge role, but it's, to Caitlin's point.
How should she have answered that when I asked her that question?
I mean, I think she answered it the way that she has planned to, right? Like, she has said 70 is the number. And you got to give credit to Nikki Haley. She's not afraid to say that she's going to stand by that. It's time to move on. It's time to change things. It's time to adjust to what the current lifespan of our society is.
All right,
the problem with her candidacy is now that she's getting scrutiny, she's got this problem with ballistic podiatry, shooting herself in the foot every other day, saying things that now she doesn't even take questions from people.
Look, first of all, Maura, he's been accused of or criticized for not being able to take criticism for the balance of this campaign. But to go to the podiatry, to go to the shoes,
ballistic
the man, ballistic no
yeah.
less, who's been accused of wearing inserts, the high heels inside the cowboy boots that Donald Trump talked about last night on Fox. What was up with that rehearsed line? Is he getting bad advice?
Across the board, this was a failure for both of them, though, because they're just fighting each other. For the first hour and a half, maybe, they were just bickering and mudslinging at each other, as opposed to the person who was counter-programming on the network that they needed to really be on, and Donald Trump, and they're not hitting on him enough at all. And so it does make it just kind of child's play at this point, and you're seeing these lame attacks on one or the other. But it's not helpful, and honestly, it's for our party talking about the issues. Nikki Haley wanting to talk about the economy, talking about our debt. In 10 years, we have added to the debt. I mean, doubled it in 10 years. That's insane. So she's right to bring that up. What they're not talking about, unfortunately, is how to do it. And Donald Trump is also not talking about how to do it. And voters should want to know that.
I don't feel like ballistic podiatry is going to get on a bumper sticker.
I also don't think it's going to help us with our debt. So okay. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I had to stop and think about it for a second. I was like, okay, you put this together, ballistic and podiatry. Oh, I get what he's saying.
I would love to know who came up with that. Whose idea was like, hey, this is going to be a real zinger to throw in the debate tomorrow night.
Well, you could tell he was waiting for his moment to say it. Of course, we're talking about those here competing for the Republican nomination. There are others, though, competing maybe for a nomination of another kind or to get into the race. We got some labels news today on two fronts. One being that Larry Hogan of Maryland, former governor, is no longer the chair of No Labels. The other being a few reports that No Labels is talking to Chris Christie now that he's out of the race. Caitlin, what do you make of both of those things? Do they fit together, or is it just a coincidence?
Concept, yeah.
Look, No Labels, their entire strategy is designed to block either Biden or Trump from getting 270 electoral votes, which would send the election to the House of Representatives and guarantee chaos like we've never seen before. Chris Christie has been very clear that he believes the No Labels unity ticket is a fool's errand. And, it reminded me earlier today of that scene in Dumb and Dumber where they're like, so you're saying there's a chance. And, the thing with Larry Hogan, it's hard to know what he's up to. He's obviously he was very involved in the effort. I think you have to wonder if he's leaving because they're not going to give him the ticket or if he's going to run. But what it says to me is they have no plan. They don't know what they're doing, and they're really playing with live ammo when it comes to our democracy. And I think if they can't show us a path to victory for which there is none, they should really stop their effort.
Well, there's a lot there. Could Chris Christie move the needle in the third party if he couldn't as a Republican?
Last night, I think he did the best thing for the GOP by stepping back for New Hampshire. There's an avenue where Nikki Haley could topple Donald Trump in that primary. And so he did the best thing for the party, but also to his end goal, which was to make sure Donald Trump wasn't the nominee. And so I don't see that he would do that and then go ahead and run as a third party. I don't see him doing that, and nor should he. I think he did what he needed to do. He spoke out against Trump. He also pointed out, ambition is not, how you should govern to make your decisions. I thought that was really helpful to say out loud. People needed to hear that.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think, it's not a viable option for him.
We thank you for the insights in a great conversation with Maura Gillespie and Caitlin.